Your time's important, and I'm going to keep this list very real. I hope you can appreciate the directness. This is a list of things that you need to know if you're considering buying a home in Colorado Springs from someone who's lived here over 25 years. I love Colorado Springs. I love it. But it's not all Purple Mountain's majesty here. Of course, it's beautiful. Pikes Peak's gorgeous. It's purple one morning, pink the next, and then gold the next. We're about an hour away from some of the best fly fishing in the country. People are friendly. The sun's typically shining. World-class skiing's only a few hours away. We have Denver to our north for times we want a little bit bigger city. But if you are thinking about relocating to Colorado Springs, there are 9 things you're probably going to want to know. In no particular order, here they are. Number 9, Colorado Springs isn't just a military town, but it is definitely a military town. So we have a lot of military institutions here, which means that if we're ever in any kind of high-scale nuclear war, Colorado Springs is going to be a target. We have places like NORAD and Northern Command, Fort Carson, Peterson Space Force Base, Schriever Space Force Base, and we have the Air Force Academy. The upside to living under constant threat of nuclear attack is that some of the finest people that I've ever met are the military families who make up this community. Now, the next thing on the list that you may not know is Colorado Springs traffic. In Colorado Springs, we don't really have traffic like they do back east or out in California. But what we do have is more congestion than we've ever had before. I've lived here for about 27 years, and it's definitely gotten worse, but you can still get anywhere in the city in 20 to 30 minutes, depending on where you're living. So traffic's not really a huge concern or an issue here. But if you hate time in the car, you want to factor that into what neighborhood you decide to buy in. Traffic ties in with the next item on my list, and that's public transportation. We do have a pretty decent bus system here in Colorado Springs, but a lot of people don't use it. They say they don't feel safe on the buses, or that the buses are routinely late and it's not reliable. That said, the city has worked to increase ridership. Over the summer, they gave free passes. So if you rode the bus over the summer, it was completely free of charge. There are bike racks on the front of each bus. So if you ride a bike or an e-bike, you can possibly get away with riding the bus to and from work or wherever you need to go. But most of the time, if you're living in Colorado Springs, you really need a car. Now, if you do want to ride the bus, an unlimited 31-day pass is $62, and it's half that price for students and seniors. Some people say they don't use the bus because it doesn't have enough lines to get them where they want to go. And the city says, well, we've had more lines, but we've had to scale back service because there's not enough demand. So somewhere in there, something has to give. Maybe the buses get to be a little bit more reliable. Maybe people feel a little bit safer on the bus. And maybe one of those things will happen and we'll have better public transportation. This leads me to number 6 on the list, which is crime in Colorado Springs. But before we get into that, if you're finding this video at all helpful or useful or informative, just give it a thumbs up. That's all I ask. It does provide a big boost to our channel, and it lets YouTube know to share this with anybody else like you who's interested in real estate in Colorado Springs. That said, let's get back into the crime situation in Colorado Springs. Just like everywhere else in America, crime is on the rise, and that's not completely unexpected. Our population has grown significantly over the last 5 years, so of course we've seen an uptick in crime as well. Now, when you're looking at homes, I always suggest checking out crime statistics, and sometimes they're hard to find without paying for them, but communitycrimemap.com is a pretty good site that allows you to search for different types of crime in different areas. You can search by zip code and you can kind of filter that. And I've put a link to that down in the description. Feel free to check that out. I watched the headlines pretty closely, and I have to say I was a little bit shocked. Our violent crime rate is higher than the national average. In fact, it's on par with Boston and Seattle in terms of violent crime stats. So that was shocking to me. I don't feel that when I'm out and about. When I'm walking around the city or going grocery shopping, I just don't feel that. Now, the difference between a place where you would want to live and a place you would want to avoid might just be what side of the street you're on. And keep in mind, your real estate broker can't tell you what a safe neighborhood is. are actually forbidden. The federal government doesn't allow them to say that. So you really are kind of on your own in terms of researching crime statistics. So please use those links that I provide in the description. I use them myself. They're incredibly helpful and give you a lot of information. That said, we do have a shortage of police officers in Colorado Springs. So if you need a police officer, you'll have to wait longer to get one if you get one at all. Colorado is the #1 state in the country for stolen cars. Colorado Springs has had 2,300 cars stolen this year. And that number's from January 1 through about the end of September. And of those 2,300 cases, over 1,700 of them remain unsolved. There are 4 detectives working on these stolen car cases. And what they came out and said was a lot of times they just don't even investigate. The next thing you need to know about are the schools in Colorado Springs. Test scores in Colorado have been dropping pretty significantly over the last 10 years or so. That said, 3 of the best school districts in the entire state are in the Colorado Springs area, and they're District 12, District 38 up in Monument, and District 20. And again, those are some of the best public school systems in the state of Colorado. If public school is not an option for you, or if you want to push for a different academic standard, you can look at some of the charter schools in our area. We have 2 of the best in the state, in Vanguard Academy and the Classical Academy. Those are free schools, free of charge. They are public charters and available to anyone. One thing you might not know is Colorado Springs has school choice. So if you live in a school district that's not as favorable and you want them to go to one of the better districts, as long as that school has a seat, they will take your child and allow them to attend school there. You just might have to drive a little bit farther. The next thing that I want to share with you is the quality of our roads. In Colorado Springs, we voted for a tax increase in 2015 to improve road conditions. At that time, they were pretty bad. And I would say that they're improved since then, but we still have a long way to go. They extended that tax in 2019 for another 5 years. So at the end of 2024, the city is saying that they will have repaved about 20% of the city's roads. So let me know. If you're a longtime resident of Colorado Springs, let me know in the comments if you think the roads are better or not. The thing that I notice most are the potholes, and that's just because I've hit a couple of them and they do a lot of damage. If you see potholes, we do have a website where you can report those to the city and they'll get out and fix them. Colorado Springs is a pretty dry climate. We don't get a lot of moisture here. In fact, 70% of our water comes from the Colorado River Basin on the western slope. So we're pretty used to water restrictions, but just in the last couple of years, they put those water restrictions in place and haven't lifted them, regardless of how much water we have in our watershed. So since they've cut us back on the amount of water we can use, that probably means that the city is not allowing new developments, right? Wrong. They're just issuing approvals for developments left and right. In fact, Colorado Springs Utilities Board of Directors is also made up of the same people who are on our city council, who approves our planning commission, and they are allowing neighborhoods to be developed. They're issuing new approvals for annexation, and they're just kind of fudging the numbers a little bit to make it look like we have enough water to service all of those neighborhoods. And a lot of the factors that allow them to say that we have enough water are things like them allowing our utility company to reuse water. The former mayor of Colorado Springs said recently, in 20 years, we will get twice as much use out of our water as we do today through reuse technology. You won't know the difference. What is reuse technology? Well, that's when they take our wastewater, they filter it, purify it, and pump it back into our water supply as drinkable water. Meaning we have plenty of water to develop new neighborhoods if we drink recycled sewage. What could possibly go wrong, right? Now, number 2 on the list is the Colorado Springs Airport. The airport here is small. It has about 12 gates. It has limited options for direct flights, and it does cost a little bit more than comparable flights out of Denver. But it's a simple airport to navigate. Shorter TSA lines, easier check-ins. In fact, money aside, Most people just prefer to fly out of Colorado Springs than driving to Denver for a cheaper fare. So yeah, you'll probably have more connecting flights, but Denver Airport is going through a massive remodel right now, and it's impacting TSA wait times and just overall functionality of the airport, the trains, all of it. So yeah, if you don't mind sitting in traffic a lot, then check out DIA. But if you like the thought of having a little bit more relaxed travel experience, you're definitely going to want to fly out of the Colorado Springs airport. The last item on the list that you need to know is the cost of living in Colorado Springs. It's about 8% higher than the national average. And keep in mind, this was totally relative. If you're moving from San Diego or LA, Colorado Springs is going to seem really cheap. If you're coming from the Midwest or down south, then that's a whole other ballgame. Everything's going to feel expensive to you. You may make more money here than in a lot of other parts of the country. Our state minimum wage is almost double of what the federal minimum wage is. So like I said, there's a good chance you'll make more money here, but it does cost more. So a lot of people fight this by maybe they want to live in Denver, but they work in Denver and they decide to live in Colorado Springs because they can get a home for a little bit less here. And that continues further south. You'll have people that work in Colorado Springs but live in Pueblo. They like a little bit smaller town. They like how their money goes farther in real estate, and so they choose to live a little bit farther away and drive farther to work. There you have it, a list of things you need to know if you're considering a move to Colorado Springs. Like I said earlier, I've lived here for over 25 years, and I've sold real estate most of that time. And the city's not perfect, but it's so awesome. I never get tired of seeing Pikes Peak. I never get tired of the wildlife. And the people here are fantastic. And since I started selling real estate, I've met so many really interesting, cool, wonderfully warm people that I wouldn't trade it for anything. So if you're considering a move to Colorado Springs, or if you just want to talk real estate, my contact information is in the description below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.